You found this video for a reason. It found you. Because right now, on the edge of silence and fatigue, on the edge of habit and breakthrough, you are facing a choice. And perhaps today is your day of awakening. Look, people don't lose because of a lack of ability. They fall because of diseases of thinking. And the scary thing is, these illnesses aren't immediate. They're as soft as plaid. They quietly lay you down on the couch whispering, "You'll get there." And that's when your life goes downhill. You don't hear the sirens. You don't see the blood. But something inside you is dying. A dream, determination, you. This video is not a motivational rant. It's a rescue operation. We're going to break down every mental contagion that drains your power, your money, your energy. Every thought that's causing you to spin in place while others are building an empire. You will learn why negativity is not an enemy, but a signal. How to get rid of decision paralysis and start acting. Why excessive caution is a ticket to the cage called never again. And how one habit can cost you your whole destiny. But most importantly, at the end, I'll give you a simple practice that turns on your body and brain at the same time. This practice is like a restart button on your life. And trust me, you won't want to turn this video on again because it'll be too late. Those who watch to the end, take action. The rest of us pause. So it's your choice to be the viewer of your life or the director. Life is a battlefield. You're not just living, you're fighting a war. From the day you came into existence, you have been a participant in a conflict that no one chose, but everyone is living. It is a war of light and darkness, of action and procrastination, of choice and passivity, of faith and doubt. And if you don't choose a side, the side chooses you. If you don't act, chaos wins. If you don't believe, emptiness wins. If you don't build, everything grows weeds. Good fails to act, evil wins. Light sleeps, darkness takes over. You stand, they march forward. This war is not outside, it's inside you. Every day. When you wake up, it's not just morning, it's a new round. And you know the good news? You have everything you need to win. But only if you're active. Only if you're on the side of light, in action. Disease in one, indifference. Or how "I don't care" turns into "I failed." It doesn't scream. It doesn't tear you apart. It doesn't come with a hammer. It just shrugs and says, "Well, sometime later." This is the most insidious disease of thinking. Indifference. It doesn't seem scary, but it is the first step to a life of slow decay. You don't fall into the abyss, you just don't go forward. You don't burn, you don't protest, you don't strive. You're like a person with faded eyes who says, "Come on, I'm fine with this." But normal is not the goal. Normal is the name of the street where dreams. Sometimes you've seen yourself. They're not bad, they're not lazy, they just stopped being hot. They chose to be warm. And as one ancient text said, even God doesn't hold on to the warm ones. Hot ones awaken, cold ones are shocking, and the warm ones are just okay. There is no risk in indifference, but there is no life. It's like hiding behind the phrase, "I don't want to be disappointed," but in the end you feel nothing. No pain, no joy, no victories. And now the simple truth, you can't swim to the top by drifting. You don't pass the mountain by accident. You're either walking or standing. You're either on or off. There is no almost on. You want to know the truth? People with indifference don't lose right away. They just disappear. They're not noticed. They are not remembered, and that's the quietest form of death. Conclusion? If you catch yourself being indifferent, don't blame yourself. Rather summon other words. Wake yourself up. Do something about the fire. Take a side. Rekindle yourself. Because as long as you're nothing, the world flies by. You're either inspired or you're on the edge. If the light doesn't move, the pain turns on. We all have two reasons to change, inspiration and despair. And you know what millions of broken destinies have in common? People have been waiting for inspiration, and it never came. It was only a stab in the heart, a crack in a relationship, a body screaming, a minus in an account that suddenly turned them on. That doesn't mean you have to suffer to wake up. It means that if nothing is lighting you up, something is burning you up. Jim Rohn used to say, if you're not being ignited by a dream, let the pain push you. The important thing is to start moving. So don't be afraid to be inspired, but don't wait forever. If it's empty inside, move out of despair. It will show you the way if you can't see the light. Disease number 2, indecision. As long as you pick a side, life goes on. They don't yell, they don't push, they don't force it, they just wait. New opportunities, decisions, the beginning of a journey, and you're just standing there, standing on the fence between yes and no, between want and fear. That's not fear, that's worse. It's paralysis of choice. You know what you have to do, you feel the world calling, but inside it's like two armies, and neither one wins. Why you gets this disease? The one who says, what if it's a mistake? What if it doesn't work? What if it's not mine? I'll put it another way. What if it works? What if this is your fork in the road? What if standing on the fence is not a choice, but time? The most important thing you need to know is this. Decisions are muscles. The more you make, the stronger you become. You want to be confident? Then start deciding. Even if you're wrong, it's your victory, because you made a choice, instead of remaining a shadow. Remember, a wrong move is experience. Inaction is rot. You won't know what's right until you pass. What's right until you pass. But if you stand, you won't know anything. And here's the interesting thing. Sometimes you're afraid to choose, not because the option is bad, but because you'll have to put the answer into action. And that's scary. But you know what's scarier? Going through life without taking a single bright turn. The secret of strong people is simple. They make choices. They walk, they fall, they get up, and they live life to the fullest. So make a choice, any side. Just get off the damn fence. Emotion over logic. The world isn't driven by geniuses. It's driven by people on fire. You want to know who the universe wants to work with? Someone who feels strongly. Not with the cold, calculating one, but with the one who says, I don't know how, but I can't do it any other way. If you're on fire, you're already one step ahead. Even if you're wrong, even if you don't know how. A cold mind seeks assurance. A hot heart finds the way. And when Jim Rohn was choosing who he would work with, he would say, give me someone who believes in something, even if he doesn't agree with me, as long as he lives openly. The rest, he said, have to be resurrected every month. If you want to change your life, stop waiting for certainty. Start with the heat, with rage, fire. It will get you through anything. Disease number 3, doubt. The silent killer of the future, especially if you're its target. It doesn't creep up from the outside. It sneaks up from the inside. When you seem to want to, but a voice in your head whispers, what if you can't do it? What if you're not worthy? What if you just can't do it? It's not criticism. It's not fear. It's doubt. And it's the worst form of doubt. Self-doubt. You can look confident. You can walk through life with a smile. But inside, like a thorn, sits one question. Maybe I'm just not the right person to be able to. It's not a loud enemy. It's a shadow. It sits in the corner of your mind and is silent until you gather your wits. And then it rushes forward with chains. Not you. Not now. It's not going to work. And the worst part is, you believe her. You start choosing less than you deserve, saying things quieter than you want to, accepting what's not yours. And then you're not living your life. It's a life of doubt. Yes, you can work, you can try, but if you don't believe you're worthy of the best, you'll never get there. Here's the truth. No system of success works if you don't believe in it yourself. Let me ask you honestly, which one of these diseases do you feel crawling inside you right now? Doubt, indecision, that quiet voice that says, not you, not yet. Take a breath, be honest, because until you name it, you can't reclaim your power. Doubt is like a virus that erases your identity. And it's simple. Make the other side of that coin. Put faith next to doubt, not on the level of I'm confident, no, but on the level of I'm not good at everything, but I can learn. I'm not the strongest, but I can grow. I'm not perfect, but I'm real. Because that's where real strength starts, not from being perfect, but from being honest. You want to grow? Stop doubting yourself and start building yourself up. Believing in yourself is not blind pride. It's the foundation for taking off. The story of transformation, Saul, Paul. Even an enemy can become a prophet if he has the flame. Do you think you're too broken to start over? Do you think the past equals judgment? Remember Saul of Tarsus. He hated Christians, hunted, tortured, destroyed. He was energetic but in the darkness. Then one day, on the road, a light hits him, face down in the ground, darkness, blindness, fracture. And what does God do? He says, "There he is, my man," because he has the fire. It doesn't matter what he believes. What matters is that he believes fiercely. And Saul becomes Paul, a prophet, a martyr, a leader. Conclusion, it doesn't matter where you've been. What matters is where you now direct your power. Disease number 4, anxiety. You don't solve the problem, you carry it on your back. There's fear, which mobilizes, and there's anxiety. And it doesn't move. It paralyzes. You lie at night, tired to the point of shivering, and your brain is like a control room in an accident. What if? What if? What if it doesn't work? It's like this anxiety is like a constant background in your head. It keeps you from being here. You're either in the past with regret, or you're in the future with panic. It doesn't solve it. It gnaws at you. You know what someone with anxiety looks like? It's not a hysterical person. It's someone who is perpetually busy in his head. He's doing things, smiling, but there's a fire inside, and no one can see that he's already burned out. Because burnout is not a weakness. It's an anxiety that's been unanswered for too long. When Jim Rohn talked about himself, he admitted he was super anxious. Not a warrior, not a fighter, but anxious. Until one day he realized anxiety doesn't solve, it destroys. It doesn't help, it constrains. And you either let it go, or it eats up everything you've built. Imagine anxiety as a monkey on your back. You're used to living with it, but she's heavy. You drag yourself around with it every day, trying to run, jump, fly, and you wonder, why don't I have any strength? Because you're carrying someone who doesn't belong to you. How did Ron handle it? He spent a year learning not to control everything. He learned to trust life. He let go, one step at a time. And one day he woke up, for the first time in a long time, in silence. It's possible. The secret? You don't have to think it through. You have to do it. And then breathe, and trust that you can do it. Because not the panic, you are. Disease number 5, excessive caution. You want security, and you get a cage. He wants everything to be precise, no losses, no mistakes. Wants to know before he tries. He'd rather stay than risk it. It's not a fear, it's a style. Excessive caution, paralyzing, hiding behind logic. It sounds like common sense, but inside, it's a judgment. Don't change anything. These people often say, what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't work out? What if everything goes wrong? What if I lose what I already have? And Jim Rohn's answer was, if you think risk is scary, wait until you know the value of not trying at all. And it's true after all, business is a risk, relationships, risk, moving kids, investments, all risk. Even leaving the house in the morning is a risk. Life is not a safety manual. It's a map of adventure, with crossroads, storms, peaks. And if you're looking for total assurance, you're not looking for life. You're going to a museum. You want to be promised everything's going to be all right. You won't lose, you won't fall. But the real truth is different. You will fall. You're going to make a mistake. But that's what makes you alive. Imagine a man who said, I don't want to take any chances, and sits in a corner. They bring him food, cover him with a blanket, keep him safe. And he lives to be 100 years old without ever having lived a real day. And now the alternative. Live 30 years, full throttle, on fire with ups and downs, or 100 years, in the shadows, no flavor, no laughter, no risk. The choice is always yours, but remember, without risk, there is no victory. Let me ask you this. Are you playing to win, or just trying not to lose? Because that's the difference between living 30 years on fire and surviving 100 in a box. And deep down, you already know which one you were made for. You weren't born to be safe. You were born to be bright. Invest now. Don't wait for a better place. If you give half your effort, don't be surprised to get half your life. Here's if I had a different job. Here's if I lived in a different country. Here's if I had different circumstances. Sound familiar? It's like you're saving yourself for something bigger, but life passes, waiting for a stage that never comes. The secret is that the best place is where you stand. It becomes strong if you put everything in there. Jim Rohn used to say, put your all into it, even if it's not your dream, because a fire in one place leads to other doors. Your energy is like a key. If you bring it into what you have now, the next levels open up. Disease number 6, pessimism. You don't see how bad things are. You look at it like it's bad. He's not complaining. He's sure that it won't work out, that it won't work, that you don't have to try, because it's already clear. It's like he wears glasses with the dust of despair and calls it, want to get up, he'll prove to you that you're going to snap anyway. The pessimist is not a lazy soul. He is an active destroyer of faith, primarily his own. He always has 5 reasons why you shouldn't start, even though one would be enough. But he's proud of that list. It's as if he's saying to the world, look how well I can see the walls behind which you dream. Imagine you go to the window. There's a sunset, a huge sky, color, a vastness. And he looks out and says, see the stains on the glass? Ew, it's dirty, it's ugly, you're looking through. And he's looking at. And that's the whole pessimism. The glass is more important than the horizon. Stains are more important than the sky. But the truth is, life is as you see it. Even the best opportunities become ashes if you look into them through the eyes of pain. Jim Rohn said, our lives are not shaped by the way things are, it's how we think it is. And if you're feeding your brain with anxiety, fear, news all the time, if you start your morning not with intention but with panic, you're not building a future but a cage. Thinking is a factory inside you. It's where the ingredients come in every day. And from them you bake your tomorrow. If you load only negativity in there, expecting happiness from life is like baking a cake out of cement. What are you feeding your mind right now? Hope or poison? Scroll through your own thoughts like a feed, between your own mental channel. If not, it's time to change the programming. A guy asked Ron, how do you build a good life? He replied, choose the right thoughts. Don't let the garbage in there. And most importantly, start with yourself. Negativity is not the enemy, it is a signal. Weeds are not scary. It's scary if you don't do anything about them. Negativity is not an enemy. It's an indicator, like a light bulb on a dashboard. You don't yell at the light bulb. You're looking at what's under the hood. Negativity is the norm. Everyone has it, but success doesn't happen to everyone because some people act on it and others pretend it's okay. You don't have to be positive 24/7, but you do have to be alive, sensitive, tuned in. And if it's troubling, don't turn away and listen. Negativity is not evil. It's an invitation to an inner conversation. Come, ask, change it, but don't run away. Disease number 7, complaining. If you whine, that's all the universe hears. You don't notice it starting, 5-minute conversations. Why do they succeed and I don't? Why is everything so complicated? Why is life unfair? You don't yell, you're just grumbling about life. But you know what the world hears? He's not ready. He doesn't carry. He can't. And it closes the doors on you. Complaining is a financial and mental poisoning dose. 5 minutes of whining and you're already lower than you were. You don't even notice how the destruction mechanism turns on. Energy goes away, inspiration goes away, faith goes away, and instead of action, it's internal souring. Jim Rohn called it economic bone cancer. He used to say, 5 minutes of complaining and you're out of the game. You haven't just lost momentum, you've started to erode the foundation. Remember, you didn't get fired. You started complaining before that. You're not alone. You just push people away with your toxic wave. Remember the story from the Old Testament, the people of Israel, the miracles, the deliverance, the road to the promised land. But what did they do along the way? Whining all the time, complaining about the water, about the food, about the weather, about God, about Moses. They complained so often that in the end, they didn't make it. Died in the desert. Their fate died before they did. And that's not just a story, it's a warning. If you choose to whine, you cancel your path. You want to get your energy back. Stop complaining. Not because everything is fine, it's because complaining doesn't solve anything. You can be weak but strong in the solution. You can be tired but effective. You can be a failure but no complaining. Because the first step to power is to take it upon yourself. To stop blaming, stop whining, to stop waiting, and say, yes, it's hard, but this is my road, and I'm going. Disease number 8, garbage thinking. You can't build a dream life if your head is a dump. Picture this, your head is a huge factory. You are the manager, and every day you run raw materials into it. That raw material will be used to build your day, a week, the future. Now the question is, what do you feed it? If you start every morning with news of accidents, murders, wars, if all day long you scroll through a feed of other people's lives, comparisons, toxic criticism, if you feed your head with fears, complaints, whining, what do you want to get out of it? You won't bake a cake if you have cement in your recipe. You won't build a rich life out of a poor mindset. And now for the main point, it's not a mistake, it's a habit. You can train in positivity the same way you train your muscles. You can choose what to run in your mental factory. Jim Rohn said, I used to start the day with a newspaper. I'd load wars, gloom, crises into my head and go into battle. And then I'd wonder why my day felt like I'd been beaten. Because you did get beaten up. Inside, since this morning. You can't be a power generator if your outlet is plugged into a source of fear. Now pay attention. You want to know what a man will become? Check out his library or his feed, because that's what makes or breaks his life. You weren't born to be a consumer. You were born to consciously choose what to feed your mind with. If you want to change your life, start with your thoughts. Start with a morning intention, a quiet pause, with the decision, I choose light, I choose to evolve, I choose thoughts that strengthen me. This is your factory. Only you decide what to let in there. And it's up to you to live with it afterwards. Disease number 9, silent defeat. You're not dead, but you're no longer living. Sometimes defeat isn't loud. It doesn't come with bankruptcy, not a breakup. It's not failure. It's quiet. You just stop trying. You keep going to work, you smile, you hold a conversation. But inside, it's all shut down. You're not waiting anymore. You don't burn. No more dreaming. This is the grave in life. The body moves, the soul is already lying down. You don't complain anymore. You don't even argue. You just put a stop to it, unnoticed, to yourself. And that's where the scary part comes in. You start passing it on. To your kids, your loved ones, subscribers. With your silence, you tell them, dreams are not for us. It's too late. Just be grateful for what you have. But gratitude doesn't mean rejection. You can be grateful and still crave more. One can be appreciative and still strive. One can be humble and still struggle. Here's the thing. If you're still hearing this text, you have a flame in you. It may be weak, but it's alive. You don't need to scream. You don't need to drastically change everything overnight. You need to take a step. Believe. You need to look up and say to yourself, I'm still here and my story isn't over. And if someone once told you it's too late, you can't, you won't make it, then know this. It wasn't a judgment, it was their fear, not your truth. The moment when everything is decided is not later, it's now. If you've listened to this point, then you have a spark in you. You didn't turn it off, you didn't flip through, you heard it, you felt it. And maybe at some point you saw yourself in those diseases. But here's the main point. You are not the disease. You are the author. And an author can always rewrite the story. And right now we're going to do it. No magic, no pathos, just you and life. If you've made it this far, it means something. Maybe it means you're not ready to give up. Maybe it means your soul just whispered, don't stop here. So don't. You ready? Practice 3 solutions in 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes, no more. Set a timer now, right after the video, and do 3 things. Just 3. 1. Write down one decision you've been putting off. Not a dream, but a decision. A simple, clear step. Like, I'm writing a post. I'm going to work out. I'm calling a client. I'm putting away social media for 24 hours. 2. Do one action on a physical level. A jump, a squat, cold water. Anything but movement. Because the brain wakes up not from thoughts, but from the body. Wake it up. 3. Leave a trail. Write in the comments, I'm turning myself on, or I'm burning out the old, or your own word of power. Not just for us, for yourself. to come back and see, here, this is where it all began. And lo and behold, from one comment, not tomorrow, now. And if you want videos like this to appear more often, give it a like. It's your contribution to spreading the power. And write in the comments which of the blocks shook you the most. Let others read it and get involved with you. You're not a spectator, you're a player. You are not broken. You are a renewer, and you are not alone. This was your moment. Listen again. Take a step, repeat.